Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game you guys requested from round 3 of the Women's Candidates Tournament. It is Vaishali versus Nurgyul Salimova, and the interesting thing about this matchup is that the two of them are the only non-grandmasters in the event. They are both international masters. Vaishali qualified for the event by winning the Women's Grand Swiss. She won first place, and Salimova qualified by reaching the finals and then losing to Alexandra Goryachkina in the finals of the Women's World Cup. I was under the impression that if you qualify for the candidates tournament, you are automatically given the Grandmaster title, because I know that that's what happened in 1959 when Bobby Fischer for the first time qualified for his candidates tournament at the age of 16, and he was given the Grandmaster title, because it would just be weird having non-Grandmasters participating in a candidates tournament. But then I found out that that's not the case here. I think I even publicly congratulated either Vaishali or Nurgyul on acquiring the Grandmaster title in such a way, but that was not the case. So you only are granted the Grandmaster title if you actually win the candidates tournament. Then you are automatically a Grandmaster, because it really would be weird to be playing for the title of World Champion in a World Chess Championship match without being a Grandmaster. So that's one of the things I wanted to mention. And another thing, I also publicly asked why is there a different time control in the women's section and in the men's section? Because in the men's section, or rather in the open section, there is a 120 minutes per player, and they don't have increment until move 40. Increment is only granted after move 40 has been reached and additional time has been acquired. Where in the women's section you have you have 90 minutes for the entire game, but you get increment starting from move 1. And I thought that was actually FIDE's choice, but then I found out that at the women's candidates tournament they were asked which time control they prefer. They chose this one, and in the open section they also asked which time control do you prefer, and they chose the longer time of control without gaining increment from move 1. Now I don't know if it's public knowledge which player voted in what way, but if it is, I will find out and I will share that with you, because I would very much love to know that. But okay, now getting back to the game, it's a really exciting one, very short one, and you guys will really enjoy it. We even have a photo of this matchup, so let's check it out. There you have it. Nothing weird happening in the photo, so let's just enjoy it for a few seconds, and then we are on our way. There you have it. Vaishali with the white pieces opens with pawn to e4. Nurgyul replies with pawn to e5. We have knight f3, knight to f6 going for Petrov's defense, and now knight captures on e5. We have pawn to d6, so this is the classical variation. Knight to f3, knight captures on e4. And there are many ways you can go about this. You could play d4, d3, even bishop to d3, or you could go knight to c3, which is, I would say this is my favorite way of handling the Petrov. Knight captures on c3 and d captures. For those of you who are new to chess, you were probably told that you should always capture towards the center to improve your activity in the center of the board. But here, it's one exception where you immediately activate both of your bishops, and you have just a very natural way of developing your pieces. And I've seen so many beginners make the mistake of playing bishop to g4 here. Bishop to g4 is just a terrible move that you can punish right away with pawn to h3. And now, of course, black will not trade, because black does not want to give up the bishop pair, and he now has to go back bishop to d7 or bishop to c8, admitting that this is a bad move. But if they go bishop to h5, then you go queen d5, you attack the bishop, you attack the b7 pawn, and now there's nothing more to be done than to trade bishop for knight. Now you have the bishop pair, your bishops will get nicely into the game, you will castle queenside, you will start pushing, you are already winning this game. So yeah, after d captures on c3, of course, nothing like that. Bishop to e7, we have bishop to e3, and castles kingside. We have queen to d2 and knight to d7. Now, I don't know who their seconds are, but as Vaishali is Pragnananda's sister and Prague has Peter Svidler over there, I don't know if Vaishali has access to Peter Svidler, but if she does, that would definitely go a long way. So okay, queenside castles. We have knight to f6, and now the position has been reached before, and bishop to d3 is the move that's usually played here. But here we have bishop to d4, and it is now as of move 10 that we have a completely new game. And it makes sense. You definitely want to put your bishop on this diagonal. You want to put this bishop on this diagonal, and you want to start pushing those pawns as quickly as possible before Nurgyul starts pushing her pawns on the queen side. And the problem is you can't really sort of punish the bishop by playing c5, because then bishop just captures on f6. And if you don't want to ruin your king side, you're going to have to give up the pawn on d6. So that's the idea. So here, bishop to d7, and now, okay, if you play bishop to e6, we could also consider that. Like, you play bishop to e6, you go after the a2 pawn, white can just ignore you. Knight g5. Go after the bishop. And now after bishop captures, bishop to d3. You get so much development in for the price of this one pawn. And, you know, if h6, even pawn to h4 is possible. And the game continues, but, well, I believe Vaishali would be well within her preparation here, and that Nurgyul would be the one burning time here. And here, after bishop to d7, we have pawn to h4, and now the first real thing of the game. After 25 minutes, Nurgyul went for rook to e8, and this is already an inaccuracy, to say the least. Here you should go knight to g4 right away to gain control over the g5 square. But after rook to e8, here comes knight to g5, and now after pawn to h6, just bishop to d3. Getting a similar position to what we've discussed earlier, that you really don't want to have that on the board. Only rook is now on e8, instead of that bishop capturing the pawn on a2. But by playing rook to e8, the f7 pawn has also been weakened. So what do you play here? In the game, knight to g4 was played, and this is a wonderful position that really reminded me of the old 1964 game between Mikhail Tal and Evgeny Vasyukov, you know, the one with the drowning hippo. I know I already told you too much, but, you know, having that in mind, feel free to pause the video and try to find a move that Vaishali played here while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on saving the drowning hippo, and or letting the hippo drown, whichever way you want to play it. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight captures on f7. Of course, that's what you do. And for those of you who are wondering, sorry, I didn't mention, but what happens if you just capture the knight? Well, then you capture, and that's just it. Whatever, the knight really has no good squares. If you go to, let's say, d5, then just rook h7. You go after the pawn here, and after, let's say, f6, you go rook d to h1. You go after rook to h8, and if rook to f8, trying to hide the king, just g6, and there's no defense against rook h8 checkmate. So that's why you have to free up some squares, and that's why knight captures on f7 was played. And what do you do here? Of course, you have to capture. Moving the queen would just be terrible. The knight would remain here, and you would be facing the same decision to move later, only with your king at a really bad place. So king captures on f7, and now bishop to c4 with check. And now what do you do? If you block with bishop to e6, sorry, just give me a second. If you block with bishop to e6, then comes bishop captures on e6 with check. And after king captures on e6, queen to e2 with check. And after king to f7, just queen captures on g4. You win material back, and also you're threatening g7. I mean, this is just terrible. If you go bishop to f6, then just bishop capture. You can't block with... well, what do you block with? There's really nothing to block with. You have to block with the bishop. And now if queen captures, you can even give a check and pick up the c7 pawn. You're already up a pawn, so if you're going to be up 2 pawns, that's going to be game. King is just weird. Pawn captures, I mean, you can try playing this, but you will lose. So that's why after bishop to c4 check, king to f8 was played, and now comes queen to d3, leaving Nurgyul with a difficult position to defend, and she does not reply in the most proper manner. She played bishop to g5 check here. She offered the piece back. What you want to do is bishop to f6, really. And it seems like it doesn't work because queen h7 is just too strong. But still, after queen h7, you will play bishop e6. You will block the bishop on c4. And after, let's say, bishop captures and rook captures, there's no good continuation for white here. You can just go back, queen f5, but then knight captures on f2. Okay, you will give back the knight, and that's not a problem. King g8, and you've hidden your king to safety. It's equal material, and this is an equal game. But after queen d3, Nurgyul was burning too much time. She went for bishop to g5 check, a bold decision trying to give back the material, but Vaishali just declined it. King to b1, and this is not the best. The best is just to take the bishop, for example, h captures, and after queen captures, king to b1, and now you continue harassing that black king. The rooks now come into the game, and that would be much cleaner. After king to b1, you can still sort of defend, but you have to bring the bishop back to f6, and you have the same situation only with the king on b1. However, here knight to e5 was played, and now the position is just crushing for Vaishali, and she goes bishop captures on e5. And now the problem is, how do you reply here? If you play rook captures on e5, then comes h captures on g5, and after, let's say, bishop f5 going after the queen, queen d4. And there's not a good reply to just pawn captures on h6. If you go for queen captures on g6, just pawn to f4. That's winning material. And if you don't, what else do you play? You can play queen e7, but then, of course, captures. And if g5, you're just left here with a passed h pawn, which is too strong. Yeah, I mean, also pawn to f4 is coming. You attack the rook, and if g captures, queen captures, and the black king will not be able to survive here. h7 will come, and that's pretty much it. One fun line that we can show is, let's say you try to hide the king, h7, and if bishop captures on h7, queen h6, threatening to win material, and after the bishop moves, now you just give a check, and well, you either give up the rook, or if the queen blocks, you trade here, queen captures, king captures, and rook to h8 check will pick up the rook on a8. So that's one of the possibilities of what happens if rook captures here. Pawn d captures is just weird because the bishop hangs, so you're left with bishop to f6. The bishop finally returns to the square where the bishop should have been 3 moves ago, but now Vaishali plays another sacrifice. Bishop captures on d6, and now you see that you will have problems here. It's not maybe as flashy, but she will win enough material to win the game. Queen captures on d6, and now, of course, if bishop to e7, just queen d5. There's no defense against checkmate here. So after this, queen to e7 was played, and now just queen captures on d7. Queen captures, rook captures, and if you counter the material now, Vaishali is up 3 pawns, but she will be up more than that. As rook to f7 is coming, you have to prepare for that. So rook to e4, granting the king the e8 square, but just bishop d5. We have rook to e2, now rook to f7 check. King to e8, rook captures on b7. Now you're up 4 pawns, and if you capture the pawn on f2, then you even allow rook e1 check, king to d8, bishop to c6, and it's just game over. So after rook captures on b7, rook to d8 was played, attacking the bishop. Now comes bishop to c4, and the rook is attacked, rook e to d2, and rook to e1 with check. We have king to f8, king to c1, and now rook to d7, challenging the rook, but now the rooks just get traded off, and that's where your counterplay will just be lacking too much. 4 pawns down is too much to bear for anyone. g3 was played, bishop to e7, pawn to h5, grabbing more space, bishop to c5, attacking the pawn, and just rook to e5. Of course, if bishop captures, rook f5 check will pick up the bishop. As rook to f7 is impossible, the bishop guards that square, so bishop to b6, and now pawn to a4. And here, Nurgyul Salimova had enough. Of course, 4 pawns is too much to contest, and he was in this position on move 33 that she resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So great victory for Vaishali, but Salimova did bounce back in the next round. In round 4, she defeated Hampi Koneru, and these are the standings after 4 rounds of the Women's Candidates Tournament. So in sole lead with 3 points, Tan Zhongyi, with 2.5 points, Alexandra Goryachkina, who we've already said is the one who eliminated Salimova from the finals of the Women's Chess World Cup 2023. Katerina Lakhno, Nurgyul Salimova, and Vaishali on 2 points. With 1.5 points, we have Anna Muzichuk, Leiting J, and Hampi Koneru. There we have it. First game we are covering of the Women's FIDE Candidates Tournament. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other favorites, use hashtag suggestion and I will go over them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Very nice attack, and absolutely incredible how much poison there is in every position that is still unexplored. I mean, I've had this position so many times in my games, and just this bishop to d4 move, because when you actually have this position, you know that you want to play king b1, you want to play bishop d3, you want to play h4 g4, or h3 g4 g5, however you want to play it. But bishop to d4, when you actually have this position on the board, does feel like a loss of a tempo, and you kind of think to yourself, well, if it was good, someone would already play this. But no one ever played this, and it is really good, especially from a practical standpoint, as you've seen here. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Andreas Rosenthal, David Gasparian, Max, and Tom and William Smith for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.